podcast. This is Chandler here with you again. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you've had a great week this week. I hope it's been a productive week, and I hope that you've had some gospel conversations this week. And if you hadn't, go and have one today. Let us never forget that great commission to go and make disciples of all nations. So make sure that we're fulfilling that and living that out each and every day. But today, as we finish up our study this week in chapter 45, remember we finished yesterday, and we saw that Judah had just pleaded with Joseph to not take Benjamin captive. And we saw that there was that growth from Judah selling Joseph into slavery to now him actually defending his youngest brother, Benjamin. And what we're seeing today is a result of that. So we open up today in 45, and the very first thing we see, then Joseph could not control himself before all those who stood by him. He cried, "Make everyone go out from me." So no one stayed with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. So Joseph finally has just had enough, and he tells his brothers. In verse 3 it says, "And Joseph said to his brothers, 'I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?'" He finally had just hit this point where he couldn't contain himself any longer. Now his brothers, of course, were shocked because they had no idea who he was this whole time. And it says they were dismayed at his presence. So Joseph tells them to come near to him. They come near and he says, "I am your brother Joseph, whom he sold into Egypt." So now they know there's no way this is a fake, because he's not only saying that he's their brother Joseph, but he's saying, "You sold me into Egypt." He knows what they did, so they know this has to be. But listen to what Joseph says to them next. "And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life." You see, he says it wasn't your fault. He's absolving them of all blame. And instead he's saying, God brought me here for a reason. In verse 7 it said, "And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors." Again, Joseph just has this mindset of just how much greater God's plan is than man's plan. He's saying, this was all a part of God's plan. Don't blame yourselves. Don't be angry with yourselves. Now we know they did make this decision. It was a sinful decision. But Joseph's just trying to show them, hey, the Lord worked in this. The Lord had a plan in this, and he brought me here for a reason. Then he tells them to go to their father and say to him, "Thus says our son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry." He wants to see his father. He wants to see Jacob again. And so he sends them on their way to go to find Israel and bring them back to him. And we also see that Pharaoh hears about this, and he's just ecstatic and thrilled for Joseph. And he also tells Joseph to send them to get their father, and he'll give them the best of the land. You see, he thought this highly of Joseph and cared this much for him that he wanted his family to have the best. So they leave out to go tell Jacob and bring him back with them. And it says, "When they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to their father Jacob, and they told him, 'Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt.' And it says his heart became numb, for he did not believe them." See, he had gone so long where he thought that his son Joseph had died. He had been mourning him. He had been just so sad about losing his son. Think about this moment here. Think about a parent that thought they had lost their child. And one day somebody shows up and gives them the news that your son is still alive. It would have seemed unbelievable at first. I'm sure he thought that there was some trick that had been played on them, or they were playing a trick on him. I'm sure he thought all kinds of things. But then it says, "But when they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived." He began to understand. He began to grasp that this was true. And his spirit was completely revived. It says, "And Israel said, 'It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die.'" So they head out to go back to the land of Egypt, to go to see Joseph, for this reconciliation to happen between Joseph and Israel. And that's what we're going to get to see on Monday in chapter 46. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope to see you Sunday at church. And I hope you come back ready next week as we finish up our last week in Genesis together before we move on to the Gospel of Matthew. It's going to be a great final week in Genesis, so I hope to see you Sunday at church and then back here on the podcast next week as we finish up.